The arrival of the unknown. The harsh rays of an unforgiving sun beat down on Aaron's weary face as he staggered through the barren remnants of what had once been a bustling metropolis. Sweat trickled down his face, mingling with the dust that caked his skin, but he barely noticed. The desolate, scorched landscape stretched out before him endlessly, a bleak reminder of humanity's long-lost glory. Tall skyscrapers, once symbols of hope and power, now lay in twisted heaps across the cracked earth. Broken glass glinted beneath his feet as he trudged forward, eyes scanning the horizon for any signs of life or resources. His canteen hung empty by his side, a mockery of the hope he once clung to. Aaron cursed under his breath. He'd been searching for hours, fighting off thirst and hunger, hoping to find something, anything, that could help his small band of survivors. But every step he took seemed to reinforce the hopelessness that had been gnawing at him for days. "Nothing but dust and ghosts out here," he muttered, kicking a piece of debris in frustration. Just as the despair began to seep deeper into his bones, a brilliant light exploded in the sky, flooding the desolate wasteland with an almost ethereal glow. Aaron staggered back, shielding his eyes from the sudden brightness as he tried to process what was happening. As his vision adjusted, he gaped in awe and fear. A massive, sleek craft hovered above him, unlike anything he'd ever seen. It shimmered in a silver glow, almost as if stardust had been woven into its surface. The ship descended slowly, stirring up clouds of dust and debris as it touched down with a soft, hissing sound. Aaron's heart pounded with a mixture of dread and exhilaration. Whatever this was, it was clearly not human. As he gripped his makeshift weapon, the ship's hatch slid open, and a figure emerged. Tall, graceful, and undeniably alien, the being moved with an otherworldly elegance that held Aaron spellbound. The alien's skin, a radiant shade of teal that shimmered under the sun, seemed to pulse with an inner light. Despite her unusual features, Aaron couldn't ignore the familiarity in her appearance. She was female, or at least her form and movements had a captivating, almost human femininity. The alien's eyes were what truly entranced him, though, two pools of deep, luminous silver that seemed to see right through him. They held a mixture of wisdom, curiosity, and something more profound, something that made his pulse race. She looked at him with a serene confidence, as though she'd expected him all along. "Hello," she said, her voice a melodious hum that seemed to resonate inside his mind, bypassing the need for translation. The words filled the silence around them, lingering in the air as if they were meant just for him. Aaron took a shaky breath, steadying himself. He wanted to speak, to respond, but he found himself at a loss for words, overwhelmed by her presence. "My name is Lyra," she continued, a soft smile lifting the corners of her mouth. "I come from the Ilarian race. We've traveled across galaxies to find you." Aaron blinked, trying to process her words. "You came for me," he managed to say, his voice sounding small against the vast emptiness surrounding them. "For you, and for your kind," Lyra replied, her tone warm and inviting. "We've been observing Earth for a long time, watching humanity's journey, your resilience. And now, we wish to offer you a chance at salvation." Aaron narrowed his eyes, suspicion starting to override his initial awe. "Salvation?" he asked, his voice edged with doubt. "Why would you want to save us? We've already destroyed our world." He gestured at the ruin around them, the decaying buildings and the lifeless earth. Lyra's smile softened. "Because we see potential in you, Aaron. Even in the face of devastation, humanity has displayed remarkable adaptability, creativity, and strength. The Ilarian people believe in offering aid to those who strive to survive against impossible odds. We can help you rebuild, to thrive where others might fall, but it will come at a cost." Aaron's gaze sharpened, his instincts honed by years of survival kicking in. "What kind of cost?" he asked, gripping his weapon a little tighter. He didn't trust easily, especially not when the promise sounded too good to be true. "We do not ask for your subservience," Lyra explained, stepping closer. In fact, we seek a partnership, a blending of our strengths and yours. We believe that together, we can forge a new way forward, one way your species can survive and evolve. Aaron's heart beat a little faster. Her words struck a chord deep within him, resonating with the unspoken desire for hope and renewal that he'd tried to bury long ago. Yet, he couldn't shake the skepticism. And what exactly does that mean? You want to change us somehow? To make us like you? His tone was both accusing and wary. Lara looked at him thoughtfully, as though considering her answer carefully. Not exactly. We will not take away your humanity, Aaron. Instead, we wish to help you adapt, to grow in ways that will enable you to thrive in this new world. Your people are on the brink of extinction, and we offer you a chance to survive, a chance to flourish. For a moment, Aaron allowed himself to imagine it, a world where they didn't have to scavenge for every meal, where children could grow up without the constant threat of starvation and disease, where they might have a future instead of a slow, inevitable end. But he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this than Lyra was letting on. "What's in it for you?" he asked, his gaze steady as he searched her face for any sign of deception. Lyra's silver eyes met his, unwavering. For the Illyrian people, this is an opportunity to learn, to share in a bond that transcends our differences. We believe that there is something unique, something extraordinary about your species that we wish to understand. And yes, she added, a glimmer of amusement in her voice, our genes will blend with yours. It is our way of building a future together. Aaron felt a chill run down his spine, mingling with a strange, inexplicable warmth. The implications of her words were staggering. They wanted to mix with humanity, not in conquest, but in unity. Yet, even as he felt drawn to the idea, a part of him resisted, wary of what might be lost in the process. Lyra took another step forward, her voice gentle but firm. "Aaron, we are here to offer hope, not control. You and your people must choose willingly, but time is running out. Soon, the Earth will be inhospitable to all life, and this chance may be your last." Aaron looked at her, torn between fear and fascination. Her words stirred something within him, a yearning for a world that was more than just survival. But he wasn't just thinking of himself, he had to consider the others, the small group of survivors who relied on him to protect them, to make the hard choices. Finally, he nodded, his voice steady. "I can't make this decision alone. I need to speak with my people, to let them choose for themselves." Lyra inclined her head in acknowledgement. "Of course, gather your people, Aaron. Together we can chart a new path forward." As they turned toward the hidden encampment, where the last remnants of humanity clung to existence, Aaron felt a mixture of anticipation and dread. He didn't fully trust Lyra, but the vision of a future she offered was too tempting to ignore. And as he walked beside her, he couldn't shake the feeling that this meeting was not merely chance. It was the beginning of something far larger, something that would reshape the destiny of humankind. The Council of Survivors. The silence was almost palpable as Aaron led Lyra through the hidden maze of tunnels beneath the cracked, sun-scorched earth. Every so often, he would glance over his shoulder, finding her strange silver eyes already on him. The quiet determination in her gaze was unyielding, and despite himself, Aaron felt the weight of her words pressing down on him. Here was an alien being who was offering salvation, but at what cost? And why did her promise feel as dangerous as it was tempting? The entrance to the bunker was concealed behind a rusted steel door, nearly invisible under layers of dirt and grime. Aaron tapped out a sequence on the makeshift keypad, glancing around warily to make sure they weren't followed. The door opened with a metallic groan, and as they stepped inside, Aaron felt the tense energy of the place come alive. The underground enclave had once been a Cold War-era shelter, but now, with decades of decay and the scars of human desperation, it was a fragile sanctuary for the last of his people. Inside, flickering fluorescent lights cast a sickly glow over the narrow halls. Pale faces, marked by fear and hardship, peeked out from doorways as they walked past, their eyes widening at the sight of Lyra. Aaron could feel the curiosity and suspicion simmering in the air, mingling with the stale, recycled scent of the bunker. Some of them whispered, their voices carrying echoes of fear and wonder. Few had ever seen anything as otherworldly as Lyra, and none could hide their disbelief. They reached the central meeting hall, a wide, dimly lit room lined with metal bunks and makeshift seating. Aaron stepped forward, signaling for quiet as a group of elders and younger leaders gathered around. "Everyone, this is Lyra," he announced, his voice steady, though his heart raced. "She's come from another world, with a proposal for us." A murmur swept through the crowd, a mixture of intrigue and unease. A grizzled old man named Wallace stepped forward, his wrinkled face twisted with suspicion. "Another world, eh?" he said, his voice hoarse. "And what would an alien want with the likes of us? We don't have much left to offer." Lyra took a step forward, her gaze sweeping over the gathered humans, a mix of sympathy and respect in her expression. When she spoke, her voice filled the room with an almost musical resonance. "People of Earth, I am Lyra of the Illyrian race. We have watched you from afar, seen your struggle and resilience. I come not to take from you, but to offer hope, a chance for rebirth, for survival." Wallace's eyes narrowed. "And what kind of hope are we talking about? Don't sugarcoat it, alien. We've been through enough lies." Lyra met his gaze evenly, unfazed by his gruff tone. "We offer a genetic transformation," she explained. "Our technology allows us to blend traits from different species, creating beings who are stronger, faster, and able to survive in conditions that would be lethal to your kind as you are now. We propose an alliance, a joining of strengths between our two races to help humanity endure." The room erupted in a chaotic blend of voices, some shouting in protest, others asking desperate questions. Aaron held up his hand for silence, and gradually the crowd quieted, though their tension was palpable. "Let me be clear," Lyra continued, her gaze sweeping over the crowd. "This transformation is not forced. It is a choice. But understand this, your world is on the brink of collapse. Your resources are dwindling, and soon, survival will become impossible. We offer you a chance to adapt, to live, and to build something new. But you must decide if you are willing to change." A young woman named Mira, her face gaunt but her eyes sharp, stepped forward. If we agree to this, what do we become?" she asked, her voice tinged with both fear and hope. "Are we still human?" Lyra's expression softened. "You will still be yourselves, Mira. You will retain your memories, your personalities. But you will gain certain abilities, strength, resilience, the capacity to adapt. The Illyrian transformation doesn't erase who you are. It enhances it, allowing you to survive in this changed world." Another voice rose from the crowd, a man in his 30s named Jonas. "And what do you get out of this? No one does something for nothing, especially not aliens from across the stars." A faint smile tugged at Lyra's lips, and she nodded in acknowledgement of his skepticism. "Your caution is wise, Jonas. What we seek is knowledge, a way to connect and learn from you as partners, not conquerors. Our cultures will blend, yes, and over time, our species will share a bond. But it is a mutual exchange, not one of dominance." Aaron, who had been listening intently, felt a familiar, gnawing doubt bubble up inside him. He wanted to believe her, wanted to accept the lifeline she was offering. But there was something unnerving about giving up part of what made them human, even if it meant survival. "Lyra," he said, his voice firm, "if we agree to this, how do we know we won't lose ourselves in the process? How do we trust that we won't end up as, well, something less than human?" Lyra's gaze softened, and for the first time she seemed almost vulnerable. "The Illyrian transformation is not about losing your humanity, Aaron. It's about evolving. You will still love, dream, feel, all the things that make you who you are. We merely offer the tools to endure, but I understand your hesitation. This is not a decision to be taken lightly." A tense silence settled over the room as her words hung in the air. Wallace, ever the skeptic, huffed in resignation. It's like a devil's bargain, he muttered. Change or die. Some choice. Aaron looked around, taking in the expressions of the people he had fought so hard to protect. He saw the exhaustion in their faces, the scars of battles both physical and emotional. He saw children who had grown up too fast, women and men who had lost loved ones, elders who clung to memories of a world that no longer existed. But he also saw something else, a glimmer of hope, fragile yet undeniable. Maybe it's not a bargain at all, Aaron said slowly, his voice carrying a tentative conviction. Maybe it's a chance for us to rise above what we were, to be more than we are. We've been surviving for so long. But maybe it's time we learned how to live again. The crowd murmured in agreement, their weariness momentarily forgotten. They looked at each other, some nodding, others still deep in thought. Even Wallace seemed to soften, though his skepticism didn't entirely vanish. Lyra's silver eyes met Aaron's, and there was a spark of respect in her gaze. "Take the time you need to decide," she said, her voice low and sincere. "This choice belongs to each of you. But know this, we stand ready to help you, to walk beside you into whatever future you choose." Aaron nodded, feeling the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. He knew this decision would define not only his life, but the lives of everyone he held dear. And though he was still filled with questions and doubts, a part of him felt ready to embrace the unknown, to step forward, to change, to become something greater. "Then let's make this choice together," he said, his voice steady, "as one people." As Lyra watched him, a soft smile played on her lips. "Very well, Aaron," she said. "Let us prepare for what lies ahead." The crowd slowly dispersed, talking in hushed tones as they returned to their quarters to contemplate the alien proposal. Aaron lingered in the hall, his mind racing as he considered the possibilities. He still didn't fully trust Lyra, but there was something about her words, her presence, that struck him as genuine, and as he glanced back at her, he felt the faintest flicker of hope stir within him. Outside, the world lay dark and silent, the stars flickering like distant beacons in the endless night. But in that subterranean refuge, a new dawn was beginning to break, a dawn that held both the promise of rebirth and the uncertainty of transformation. The choice and the first transformation. Days passed, filled with hushed conversations and careful deliberations, as each person wrestled with the choice Lyra had offered. Some clung to their humanity with fierce determination, unwilling to accept the idea of altering themselves in such an intimate way. Others, tired of the daily struggle for survival, saw her proposal as a lifeline, an opportunity to grasp at a future that had seemed lost. Aaron walked among them, listening to their concerns, sharing their doubts, and feeling the weight of the community's hope and fear settle heavily on his shoulders. One evening, as the remnants of the human survivors gathered in the central chamber, Aaron noticed how Lyra moved quietly among them, answering questions and soothing anxieties. She seemed patient, her calm presence like a balm to the weary souls around her. And yet, there was a deep, quiet intensity in her silver eyes, as though she was carrying her own burdens too. Finally, when everyone was gathered and the room had quieted, Aaron stepped forward to speak. He took a deep breath, searching for the right words to capture the enormity of their decision. "We've all heard Lyra's offer," he began, his voice steady but solemn. "This is not a choice we make lightly. To accept this transformation means giving up something fundamental, something that makes us who we are. But it also means the chance to survive, to build a new world." He paused, looking at the faces around him, gauging their reactions. "I won't pretend to understand all the science behind it, but I trust that Lyra is offering us this out of goodwill. It's up to each of us to decide if we're ready to take this step." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some nodded, while others averted their eyes, still uncertain. Aaron felt the pressure of their expectations pressing down on him, the unspoken understanding that they looked to him to lead them through this impossible choice. Lyra, who had been standing quietly at the back of the room, stepped forward now. Her gaze swept across the group, filled with empathy and respect. "If it would help," she offered, "I am willing to demonstrate the process with one among you." I can show you what the transformation entails and let you witness the change yourselves." Silence fell over the room. The prospect of seeing someone they knew transformed before their eyes was both thrilling and terrifying. They looked at each other, each unwilling to volunteer yet eager to see who might be brave enough. Aaron felt the weight of dozens of eyes on him, their silent plea impossible to ignore. He took a deep breath, swallowing his fear. "I'll go first," he said, his voice firm but his heart pounding. "If I'm going to ask anyone else to do this, I should be willing to do it myself." Lyra inclined her head in acknowledgement, a flicker of admiration in her gaze. "Very well, Aaron. The process will take place in stages, allowing your body and mind to adjust gradually. If you feel any discomfort, we can stop at any time." Aaron nodded, glancing at the gathered crowd. He saw their mixed expressions, some faces filled with hope, others with deep worry. He squared his shoulders, steeling himself for whatever was to come. "Let's get started." Lyra led him to a quieter part of the bunker, where a temporary setup had been arranged. A faintly glowing device, almost like a portable pod, pulsed with a soft, otherworldly light. Cables stretched from it, humming faintly with a strange energy. The contraption looked nothing like human technology, and as Aaron approached, he could feel a subtle warmth radiating from it. "This is an Illyrian transmodulator," Lyra explained as she adjusted a few controls on the device. "It uses biomolecular resonance to integrate new genes into your system. The transformation is incremental and will adapt you to survive in the harsher conditions of your world. You'll be stronger, faster, and more resilient." Aaron nodded, feeling a mix of anxiety and anticipation. He settled into the pod-like seat, trying to relax as the strange machine hummed around him. "How long does it take?" "Not long," Lyra replied, "but be prepared for some unusual sensations. Your body will adapt quickly, but the mind sometimes takes a bit longer." She placed her hands on the controls, and a gentle hum filled the air as a soft, warm light enveloped him. Aaron felt a tingling sensation spread through his limbs, a strange buzzing that was neither painful nor pleasant, but something entirely new. His vision blurred slightly, and a strange warmth flooded his body, as if his very bones were vibrating. As the minutes passed, he felt his muscles subtly shift, becoming denser, stronger. His skin tingled, and he could feel his senses sharpening. The sounds in the bunker became crisper, more distinct, and the air itself seemed more vivid, more alive. He inhaled, and a rush of scents filled his nostrils, scents he had long since grown numb to in the underground shelter. Every sensation felt magnified, intensified. Finally, the process slowed and the light faded. Aaron opened his eyes, blinking as his vision settled. He felt different, stronger, more alive. He stood up, testing his balance, feeling a strange energy coursing through him. The crowd that had gathered watched him with awe, their eyes wide as they took in the subtle but undeniable changes in him. His skin seemed healthier, his posture more upright. There was a calm confidence in his movements, a quiet power that hadn't been there before. Wallace, the ever-skeptical elder, stepped forward, his gaze narrowing as he scrutinized Aaron. "Well, do you feel like yourself, Aaron, or are you some alien version of yourself now?" Aaron considered the question, feeling the strange new sensations running through him. It was true. He felt different, stronger, sharper. But he was still himself. His thoughts, his memories, his feelings were all intact, but he felt enhanced, like he had been granted new tools to confront the world. "I'm still me," he said, his voice steady, reassuring. "But I feel more alive, more capable. It's like I'm seeing the world through fresh eyes." The crowd murmured, their fear mingling with a growing sense of excitement. Lyra stepped forward, addressing them with her calm and steady voice. "This transformation does not erase who you are. It empowers you to face the challenges of your world with new strength. It is a gift, but one you must choose willingly." Mira, the young woman who had first spoken up during the meeting, looked at Aaron with wide eyes. "Do you think we'll all feel the same way if we go through with it? Do you think this will give us a real chance?" Aaron nodded, his gaze steady. It's hard to explain, but I feel like this is what we need to survive. It's still a risk, but it's one I'm willing to take, and one I believe can help us. Gradually, others began to step forward, one by one. Some still looked hesitant, clinging to the remnants of a humanity they feared to lose. But as they looked into Aaron's eyes, saw the renewed determination in him, they felt a glimmer of hope sparking to life. Wallace, too, reluctantly nodded, his voice softer than usual. Maybe it's time we stopped living in the past, stopped clinging to what was and started thinking about what could be. Over the next several days, one by one, the survivors began to undergo the transformation. Lyra guided them with patience, overseeing each step of the process, reassuring them as they embraced the change. Each person emerged subtly altered yet unmistakably themselves, stronger, more resilient, and ready to face the challenges of their world. Aaron watched as his people adapted, their fears gradually giving way to a cautious optimism. For the first time in years, they began to envision a future that extended beyond mere survival, a future where they could rebuild and thrive. And as he looked around at the revitalized faces of his friends, his heart swelled with a pride he hadn't felt in years. But amid the hope, a flicker of doubt lingered. He couldn't shake the feeling that there were deeper consequences yet to be uncovered. The bond they were forming with the Ilarian people was powerful, but it also left them vulnerable. What would the future hold for them, now that they had embraced this transformation? Could they truly build a new world in partnership with beings from the stars, or had they unknowingly forged a path that would change them in ways they couldn't yet understand? As Aaron pondered these questions, Lyra approached him, her silver eyes thoughtful. "You have led your people with courage, Aaron. You have taken the first step toward a new beginning." He met her gaze, determination and uncertainty mingling within him. "We've survived for so long. Now we want to do more than just survive. We want to live." A faint smile touched her lips. "Then live, Aaron. Let your people show the universe what humanity can become." And as he stood there, feeling the weight of their uncertain future, he knew that their journey was only beginning. Shadows of trust and the unveiling of secrets. The days following the transformation were a blur of new sensations and discoveries for the people in the bunker. Aaron watched as his community gradually adapted to their altered bodies, each of them embracing the new strength, resilience, and sharper senses they now possessed. For the first time in years, they dared to dream of life beyond the bunker, to imagine a world they could reclaim and restore. Yet, even as hope stirred among them, Aaron couldn't shake a nagging sense of unease. The transformations had gone smoothly, almost too smoothly. There was something about the flawless integration of Ilarian genetics, the lack of side effects, the seamlessness of the process that struck Aaron as strange. He couldn't quite place it, but an instinct buried deep within him urged caution. He reminded himself that they were relying on an alien technology they barely understood, guided by a being who, while kind and genuine, had her own mysterious motives. One evening, as the bunker settled into an unusual quiet, Aaron decided it was time to confront Lyra with the questions that had been gnawing at him. He found her in a secluded part of the bunker, her silver eyes focused intently on a small device she was calibrating. The machine glowed faintly, casting an eerie light over her delicate features. "Lyra," Aaron began, his voice firm, though he tried to mask the suspicion that edged his tone. "I need to talk to you. There are things that don't quite add up." Lyra looked up, her gaze meeting his with calm curiosity. "Of course, Aaron, you have questions. I expected nothing less." He hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "This transformation, it feels too perfect. No side effects, no issues. Everyone's adapting without a single problem. I don't mean to sound ungrateful, but I can't help but wonder, how can it be this easy?" Lyra's expression softened, and she took a step toward him, her voice gentle but resolute. "I understand your doubts, Aaron. The Ilarian transformation is designed to be smooth, to avoid the suffering you fear. We've spent millennia perfecting this process, ensuring that it causes no harm and only enhances the lives of those who undergo it. Aaron held her gaze, feeling both reassured and wary. But why? Why offer us such a gift without asking for anything in return? Her silver eyes flickered with something he couldn't quite identify, sadness, perhaps, or a hint of regret. Because we believe in the value of all life, Aaron. Your species has endured hardships we can barely fathom. We admire your resilience, your adaptability. To us, helping you is not about gain, it's about partnership, a bond that can benefit us both. He considered her words, feeling the sincerity in her tone, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that there was more she wasn't telling him. And yet, you're here, living among us, observing us. I can't help but wonder if there's more you haven't shared. Are we an experiment to you? Lyra sighed, her gaze drifting away momentarily. Not an experiment, Aaron. But yes, there are things I have not yet explained. Not out of deception, but because they are difficult to understand. Your people are at a crossroads, and so are mine. Our races may be different, but we both face extinction, and only together can we hope to survive. The admission took Aaron by surprise. Extinction? You mean your people are in danger too? She nodded slowly. Our world is dying, Aaron. Not in the same way as yours, but due to a cycle of cosmic decay that is consuming our star. We have spent centuries searching for a solution, a way to preserve our civilization. Your world offers a unique opportunity, not merely to survive, but to thrive. We believe that by blending our genes with yours, we can create a species resilient enough to endure both our worlds. The revelation left him speechless. He hadn't expected this, hadn't realized that beneath her composed exterior, Lara was carrying the burden of her people's survival. He felt a strange sympathy for her, but it was mingled with unease. Their partnership wasn't just about helping humanity, it was about saving the Illyrian race as well. So this isn't just a gift, Aaron said slowly, his voice measured. It's a necessity. You need us as much as we need you. Laura's eyes softened, and she placed a gentle hand on his arm. Yes, Aaron, but that doesn't mean our offer is insincere. We see potential in humanity, something rare and precious. We didn't come here out of desperation alone. We came because we believe that together we can achieve something greater. Aaron nodded, his mind whirling with the implications. The transformation, the blending of their species, it was a calculated survival strategy, a merging of strengths to create a new kind of being, one capable of surviving in conditions that neither race could face alone. The realization struck him with both awe and trepidation. They weren't just evolving, they were creating a new future, one in which their very identities would be changed. As if sensing his inner turmoil, Lyra continued, her tone soft but firm. Aaron, this isn't a path we force upon you. If you or your people wish to remain as you are, we will honor that choice. But know that if we walk this path together, we walk it as equals, with shared risks and shared rewards. Aaron searched her face, trying to gauge the depth of her sincerity. He could see the weight of her own fears, the vulnerability she tried to mask behind her calm demeanor. It was an odd comfort, knowing that despite their differences, they shared the same struggles, the same need for survival. Then we'll move forward together, he said finally, the words feeling heavy with responsibility. But I want you to promise me something, Lyra. If there's anything else, anything that could affect us or change our understanding of what's happening here, you'll tell me. No more secrets. A faint smile touched her lips, and she inclined her head. You have my word, Aaron. No more secrets. The days that followed were filled with renewed energy as the survivors began to prepare for life beyond the bunker. The enhancements from the transformation made their work easier, their senses sharper, their endurance stronger. They gathered supplies, reinforced the structure of their shelter, and mapped out plans for exploration and expansion. As they worked, Aaron noticed subtle changes in his people, changes that went beyond the physical. There was a sense of unity among them, a shared purpose that had been missing in the years of struggle and survival. They no longer felt like a band of lost souls clinging to life. They felt like a community, bound by a common future. But as hope grew, so did a quiet unease. Some of the survivors began to question their connection to the Illyrian people, wondering if they had given up too much of themselves in the process. The blending of their genes, the merging of their strengths, it all sounded noble, but there was an unspoken fear that they were losing a part of their humanity in the process. Aaron could sense the tension simmering beneath the surface, a shadow that darkened their newfound hope. One night, as the bunker settled into an uneasy quiet, a young man named Caleb approached Aaron, his expression troubled. "Aaron, can I talk to you?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Aaron nodded, sensing the weight of whatever Caleb had to say. They stepped into a quieter section of the bunker, away from the prying eyes and ears of the others. "I've been having dreams," Caleb began, his gaze fixed on the ground. "Strange dreams. I can't explain it, but they feel real, like memories that aren't mine." Aaron's heart skipped a beat. Memories? What kind of memories? Caleb looked up, his face pale. "I see places I've never been, people I don't recognize. And there's this feeling, this presence, like something or someone is guiding me. I don't know if it's from the transformation, but it's starting to scare me." Aaron felt a chill run down his spine. He'd heard of unusual side effects from the transformation, a heightened sensitivity, a connection to the Illyrian essence that seemed to linger within them. But this, memories, visions, this was something else. "Have you told anyone else?" Aaron asked, his voice low. Caleb shook his head. "No, I thought I was going crazy. But I can't ignore it anymore. I feel like there's something inside me that's different, like I'm connected to something larger than myself." Aaron's mind raced, trying to make sense of Caleb's words. If the transformation had indeed opened some kind of mental connection, then what else lay beneath the surface? Were they simply enhanced versions of themselves, or had the process awakened something deeper, something they didn't yet understand? He placed a reassuring hand on Caleb's shoulder. "I'll talk to Lyra," he promised. "We'll get to the bottom of this. You're not alone in this, Caleb." As Caleb nodded, relief softening his features, Aaron felt the weight of their decision settle heavily on him. The transformation had given them strength, unity, a chance for survival. But it had also unlocked a new layer of mystery, a connection that reached beyond their understanding. That night, as Aaron lay in his bunk, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing at the edge of something vast and unknown. The path they had chosen was filled with both promise and peril, a journey that would test not only their physical endurance, but the very essence of who they were. And as he drifted into a fitful sleep, visions of alien landscapes flickered at the edge of his consciousness, shapes and faces that were both familiar and foreign, voices whispering secrets he couldn't yet understand. The transformation had given them strength, but had also bound them to a destiny that stretched across worlds, a destiny they could no longer escape. The awakening of the collective mind. As the survivors adapted to their transformed bodies, an unexpected phenomenon began to ripple through the community, a sensation that defied logic and baffled even the most open-minded among them. In the days that followed Caleb's revelation about the strange memories he'd begun to experience, others stepped forward with similar tales, confessing to Aaron in hushed voices that they, too, had started to see and feel things beyond their own experience. Each account varied slightly. Some reported vivid dreams of alien worlds, star-strewn landscapes, and unfamiliar cities that felt both foreign and oddly comforting. Others spoke of glimpses of memories that didn't belong to them, a rush of emotions and images that seemed to surface without warning. For a people accustomed to a world rooted in survival, these glimpses felt profoundly unsettling, like peering into a mirror and finding another face staring back. Aaron, meanwhile, struggled to make sense of it all. His mind buzzed with questions and concerns, and he knew that whatever this phenomenon was, it was somehow tied to the Illyrian transformation. Deciding that it was time for answers, he sought out Lyra, hoping she could shed light on the growing mystery. He found her in the same secluded chamber where she often retreated, her silvery eyes calm as ever, as though she'd been expecting him. "Lyra," Aaron began, his tone filled with the urgency he could no longer contain. "There's something happening to us, something beyond the physical changes you described. People are experiencing visions, memories that don't belong to them. What's going on?" Lyra looked at him with a mixture of understanding and hesitation, her expression unreadable. "I wondered when this might begin," she murmured, almost to herself. "I had hoped it would manifest more gently, but it appears your people are more sensitive than I anticipated." "What do you mean?" Aaron demanded, a growing edge to his voice. "What exactly is happening to us? You promised no more secrets." Lyra inclined her head, a gesture of respect and acknowledgement. "Yes, I did promise, and it is time you knew the truth, Aaron." She gestured for him to sit, and as he settled beside her, she took a slow, deliberate breath. The Illyrian transformation is more than a physical adaptation. It taps into something deeper, something that we, as a species, have spent millennia cultivating, a connection to what we call the collective mind. Aaron frowned, his mind grappling with her words. "Collective mind? Are you saying we're all somehow connected now?" "Not exactly," Lyra replied. "The collective mind is not a hive mind. Each individual retains their autonomy, their thoughts, their identity. But through the transformation, you've been given access to a shared consciousness, a vast network of experiences, knowledge, and memories that stretches across generations of Illyrian history. It is an archive, a repository of wisdom and memory, accessible to those who are attuned to it." Aaron stared at her, his mind racing as he tried to process the implications. "So these memories, these visions, are they from your people? From other Illyrians?" "Yes," Lyra said gently. "What you and your people are experiencing are echoes from the collective mind. They are not your memories, but they're offered to you as a resource, a wellspring of knowledge and perspective that can help you navigate the challenges ahead. However, it is a delicate balance. Accessing the collective mind requires an openness that not everyone is prepared for, and it can be overwhelming if approached without understanding." Aaron's heart pounded as he considered her words. The idea of tapping into an ancient network of wisdom was enticing, yet the prospect of losing oneself in the memories of another species was daunting. He thought back to Caleb's confusion, the fear in his eyes as he described the alien memories flooding his mind. "Why didn't you tell us this sooner?" Aaron asked, a note of frustration in his voice. "People are scared, Lyra. They don't understand what's happening to them." "I understand your concern," Lyra replied, her voice filled with quiet regret. "But the experience of the collective mind is something that defies simple explanation. We feared that if we introduced the concept too soon, it might cause unnecessary fear. The integration process is gradual for most Illyrians. We had hoped it would be the same for you. But it appears that humans are remarkably receptive, a unique trait, one that speaks to your adaptability." Aaron ran a hand through his hair, trying to digest the enormity of her revelation. "So what does this mean for us? Are we supposed to just accept these memories, these visions, as part of who we are now?" "That choice is yours," Lyra said, her tone both gentle and resolute. "The collective mind is not forced upon you. You can choose to resist it, to remain grounded in your individual identity. But for those who are willing, the collective mind offers a way to expand your understanding, to gain insights and skills that can aid in rebuilding your world. Think of it as a library, a resource, but only if you are prepared for the responsibilities that come with it." A quiet settled over them as Aaron absorbed her words, the implications settling like a weight on his chest. He knew the people in the bunker, knew their resilience and their fears. Some would embrace the collective mind, driven by curiosity and hope. Others would reject it, wary of losing themselves to something they couldn't fully understand. Finally, he nodded, determination filling his gaze. "Then we'll approach it with caution. But I need your help, Lyra. We can't navigate this alone. A faint smile touched her lips, and she placed a hand on his arm, her touch warm and steady. You will not be alone, Aaron. I will guide you, as I have guided others before. The collective mind is not an easy path, but it is a rewarding one. And together, we can ensure that your people remain true to themselves, even as they embrace this new connection. With Lyra's guidance, Aaron spent the following days working with the people in the bunker, helping them understand the nature of the collective mind and what it meant to be part of something so vast and interconnected. Lyra led small groups through guided sessions, teaching them how to navigate the memories, how to separate their own thoughts from the foreign echoes of the Illyrian experience. Caleb, who had been among the first to sense the presence of the collective mind, proved to be one of the most receptive. With Lyra's help, he learned to sift through the memories, finding flashes of knowledge that ranged from ancient technologies to survival techniques honed over centuries. His initial fear gradually gave way to curiosity and even excitement, and he began to see the collective mind not as an invasion of his thoughts, but as a wellspring of possibility. Others were more hesitant, wary of losing themselves to the unfamiliar flood of thoughts and images. Some tried to block out the memories entirely, focusing solely on their immediate surroundings, content with the physical enhancements the transformation had provided. But even among the reluctant, there was a sense of awe at the sheer depth of the knowledge they now had access to, a shared history that connected them to something beyond the limits of their own existence. Aaron himself found the experience both exhilarating and unsettling. Late at night, when the bunker was quiet, he would close his eyes and let his mind wander, reaching tentatively into the collective mind. At first, it was like standing on the edge of an endless ocean, the vastness overwhelming. But as he grew more comfortable, he began to explore the memories more freely, catching glimpses of starfields and alien landscapes, echoes of voices speaking in a language he didn't understand, but somehow felt he knew. Yet, even as he delved deeper, a shadow of doubt remained. The collective mind was a gift, but it was also a challenge, a test of their humanity. With each memory he accessed, each insight he gained, he wondered how much of himself he was leaving behind, and how much he was willing to surrender to this new connection. One night, as he sifted through the memories, he came across an image that froze him in place, a vision of a desolate landscape, eerily similar to Earth's, where towering structures lay in ruins beneath a blood-red sky. Illyrians moved among the ruins, their faces filled with a despair that felt all too human. He realized with a start that this was Lyra's world, her people's history of loss and devastation, and the sight sent a chill through him. The vision faded, and he found himself back in the bunker, breathing heavily. The experience left him shaken, a stark reminder of the fragility of both their species. The collective mind held more than knowledge. It held the weight of loss, the echoes of civilizations that had once been as proud and resilient as humanity, yet had fallen to forces they couldn't withstand. The next morning, he sought out Lyra, his expression filled with a resolve he hadn't felt before. "I understand now," he said, his voice steady. "This connection, it's a gift, but it's also a responsibility. We're not just inheriting your knowledge. We're inheriting your hopes, your fears, your failures. We carry that with us now." Lyra nodded, her silver eyes filled with quiet pride. "Yes, Aaron, the collective mind is a bridge, one that connects our past with your future. You will face challenges, but you do not face them alone. Through this bond, we share not only our strengths but also the lessons we've learned, and together, we can build a future that neither of our species could achieve alone." As he looked into her eyes, Aaron felt a newfound sense of purpose settle within him. The path ahead was uncertain, filled with both promise and peril, but for the first time, he felt truly prepared to face it. The collective mind was not a loss of identity, it was an expansion, a way to carry forward the strength of two species bound by a shared destiny. And as he returned to the bunker, to his people, he knew that the journey was only beginning. Together, they would forge a new world, one shaped by the wisdom of the past and the resilience of the present, a world where humanity, though changed, would thrive once more.